pi is an activity that's used to demonstrate how pi is calculated, circumference divided by diameter. You will need quite a few things. You'll need a bunch of round objects like lids, hockey pucks, candles, coffee mugs, just a variety of different sized round objects. You'll also need a tape measure and ruler for each group of kids that you have working together. For this activity, I would usually do groups of 3 and no more than 3. The tape measure is so that you can measure the outside edge of the round object. That comes in really handy. Students will also need notebook, paper, pencil, and a calculator. Here's how it works. Take all of your round objects and put them in a central location where all students can have access to them. I would just have them on a table at the front of my room. Then I would have students paired up into teams of 2 or 3, no more than 3 for an activity like this. The teams would get one object per team, and then we'll end up trading objects later. And then the team gets a tape measure and a ruler, and of course the paper and the pencil. As you begin this activity, you're going to need to show them how to use the tape measure and the ruler. This tape measure has both centimeters and inches, and most rulers do too, although this one that I have here only has inches. Most of my rulers at school, though, had both centimeters and inches, and you can have that discussion about which one would be more precise, the inches or the centimeters. The centimeters have closer tick marks, which automatically makes it more precise, but you can decide to measure in each. But then you also have to discuss, well, if I'm measuring it and it lands between 2 tick marks, what do I do then? And how do you actually find the widest part across the round object? I discovered something many years ago doing this. If you stand the round objects on the table like this, and then put the ruler next to it like this, and you can move the round object until you find the highest point, and that is the diameter. The more accurate that students get, the better. They record the diameter and the circumference on their paper. Circumference over diameter. Take your calculator and divide it. And you should get, if they did it correctly, they should get 3 point something, depending on how accurate their answers are. Have your teams trade objects as soon as they have the circumference and the diameter satisfactorily measured for their group, and everybody has it written down. Always had all 3 people in the group keep a record of what they did. That way no one student was just not doing anything. Everybody wrote it down. Also made it easier to score that way, because then I would score each person's paper. As soon as they finish with one object, they go up, they trade it with another object, and they do this for 10 different objects, trying to get different sized objects also. For phase 2 of this activity, you tweak the numbers to see who can get more and more digits of pi to come out on their calculator. So for instance, when I measured the hockey puck, I got a circumference of 24.3 centimeters, a diameter of 7.5 centimeters, and when I divided it, I got 3.24 centimeters. So obviously that's not 3.14159, so I'm going to make some adjustments. My 3.24 is a little bit too high because it needs to be 3.14. So how would I change my numbers in my division to make it closer to 3.14? And I would have the kids write down each attempt and not erase it and change it, but write down each attempt. I need the number to be smaller, so you can either make the numerator smaller or the denominator bigger. I'm gonna try by making the denominator bigger. So I'm gonna do 24.3 divided by 7.6 and see what happens. 24.3 divided by 7.6 gives me 3.197. I got closer, so I record that. 3.197, and they can record as many digits as they can. This calculator will actually go to, I believe, 12 decimal places. Some only go to 10. But if you only go to 10, then see if somebody can actually tweak it to get 10 digits of pi. This makes for great discussion about division and fractions and the numerator and the denominator. You can also use a spreadsheet to do the division. Depending on the spreadsheet, sometimes it'll go to 20 digits and maybe more. But I had students keep a visual record of the numbers that they tried. That way, I could actually go back in and divide it, and they didn't just type in their calculator 3.14159, because they would have kids that would clear the memory of their calculator and then type 3.14159.26535 and hit it, or they would find the pi button and hit enter, and then they would try it that way. So they did have to show me how they calculated it. This is a fun activity that can be made competitive if you like. I always like to add a little competition. As soon as a student would get one digit of pi, like 3.1, I would put their group's name on the board and have that up there. And then as soon as I had a group get 3.14, I'd put them up there and I'd be like, all right, we're trying for 3.141. Anybody got it? Anybody got it? And the kids would just work as a team using their calculators to gradually figure more and more digits of pi. It also leads into great discussions on precision in measuring and how if you measure sloppily, it's not going to get very accurate. So like, oh, it's about 25. Well, no, it's actually, if you neaten it up and you make it nice and small, you can see there it's between 24 and 25. So it's 24.3. But it's obviously a little bit off. My measurement is a little bit off. That also leads into discussions about the accuracy of our measuring tools, because they're not perfect either. Accuracy in measuring tools, accuracy in vision, accuracy in counting all play into how close you're going to get to the actual number pi. And this usually would take up all hour if kids got really into it. Sometimes I would say, okay, whoever can get 3.1415 first, I would add prizes. So whoever gets 3.14 first gets this prize. And my prizes were things like little homework passes. And then I would also have one like, oh, who's got 3.141? Give them a prize. Who's got 3.1415? Give them a prize. Little bits of candy or something like that's pretty cheap. And it adds to the excitement and the fun of the project. Thanks for watching. And remember to have fun in your math class.